So let me ask you this, because we know these names that I'm about to mention. We know Lewis Hamilton, great in Formula One. We know Bubba Wallace, which I myself, I don't watch a lot of NASCAR because I never really grew up. I grew up watching it, but I didn't really like it because I just didn't dig the circles, right? I had to have something different. I was just one of the kids, like, I got to have a multitude of different things, which was what made it hard for me in school. If things got monotone, I needed some variations.
Yeah.
But Bubba Wallace is, like, by far, like, he's done great, and people criticize him as much as they do. But then a lot of times I find myself saying, like, you do realize there are like 40 participants. He's not always last, but you talk about him the most. What was your experience like, knowing a lot of things that we do know out here that have happened to these elite drivers? What was your experience like as a black man in NASCAR? Because we all know the history of NASCAR and some of the things we don't like to hear now. And it's good to know they're doing things a little bit better, but what was your experience like?
No, I mean, NASCAR has grown tremendously. And I will have to take my hat off to the progress that they've had over the last couple of years. My experience was not as good. Well, let me back up. I've seen the documentary on Bubba, and I know that he's had a tough road, right? There's drivers before him that had way tougher.
Willie T. Ribs, yeah.
Willie. I mean, I talk to Willie every so often. And so my experiences are more like Willie's. You know, you can be the fastest, but if the community doesn't want you, they may want your money. They may want the notoriety of saying that we're in the sport, but they really don't want you.
Right.
Big difference, right? And so sometimes my experiences back in the day, especially as I was going up through, I did some tests in Charlotte, North Carolina. I always remember this one in Concord. And I ended up beating some of the top kids at that time in Concord at Concord Motor Speedway. And so it's kind of the tip of the driver diversity program, but it wasn't called any of that. It was just for a team. I ended up winning. Older lady came up and was like, "Man, I'm so happy that you won." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, why would I appreciate that." And she was like, "Yeah, because all your people gonna come to my racetrack now, and that's a whole different revenue stream."
Whoa.
And like your face, I was like, "What?" And so my dad, I'm from the West Coast. I didn't get that kind of conversation. But it opened my eyes up to the business side of it. And I get, I didn't like it at that time, but I get it.
But you get it.
And that's the key. And so as long as I understand the game, then I can function and operate in the game. And so all of my failures, I end up crazy enough. I end up winning it. The crew chief was not happy that I beat a lot of his boys that was back there, told the owners, Lenny Miller and his son, which was actually a black-owned team, that I was good enough to beat everybody else, but I wasn't good enough to race their race car. So they didn't allow me to race it. It was crazy. Again, black-owned team back at that time.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. But, the Millers, they've done a phenomenal job in the motorsports. I don't know if they're still around, but that was just a crazy, crazy time. But it's business. And that's what you have to look at. I tell my son, I tell our athletes, it is business.
Right.
What you see going around that racetrack is the fluff.
Thanks for tuning in and watching another video here at Wolfpack Performance. Check out some of my other content on Formula One issues, our topics, and our DIY products on how to customize your vehicle. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you soon.